Welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. We're going over my favorite 5 fighter jet myths today, and I'm going to make some people mad. But these are my top 5, or my favorite 5. They come mostly from conversations that I've had on YouTube or on other places on the internet. A little bit from Hollywood, but mostly from YouTube. And I need to also admit that I was once upon a time perpetuating some of these myths until I learned better. So let's get right into it. Number 1, the Cobra maneuver can only be performed by the flanker and the fulcrum. I've already made you mad. I've already made some people mad here. Don't worry, it'll get worse. Other jets can do this too. Most of the time, it's a flight control issue. Some of this is affected by the planform design of the aircraft, but a lot of it is the pitch rate limitations set by the flight control computer. In fact, in the flanker, it has a limiter put on it, and you turn the limiter off to do the Cobra maneuver, or you put it in direct control, you might say. But and the truth is, I'm not very good at it in DCS. I can't do the Cobra maneuver correctly. But anyway, most modern jets could do something similar to the Cobra maneuver if the pitch rate wasn't damped so that it couldn't damage the aircraft. Now, you could argue, well, it's damped so that they don't damage the aircraft. And I would argue, yes, that's why the flanker has a pitch limiter on it as well. But the Saab Draken was doing the Cobra maneuver long before the flanker or the Fulcrum were even flying. And I have heard people argue, well, it's not the same as the Cobra maneuver. One guy even said it's not the same because the Saab isn't a Russian jet, which was a silly argument. But if it's not the same, then you need to define the Cobra maneuver a little bit better, because what the Draken was doing was, in the videos that I saw, was the Cobra maneuver, and what the pilots were describing was the Cobra maneuver. So anyway, the Cobra cannot be performed just by flankers and fulcrums. Other jets can perform the Cobra maneuver. It's just that most jets don't really care to. Number 2, the Cobra equals a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's a dogfight maneuver that can kill anything in the skies. This is absolutely a myth. It's not even close. It's not an insta-kill. It's actually a good way to die if you're in a dogfight and you find yourself thinking, aha, the Cobra maneuver. You're actually setting yourself up for failure, because you're taking away all your options and you are trading all of your energy, or most of it, for potential position, and that's a bad idea. Energy is everything, or almost everything at least. So it's a great airshow maneuver. It really demonstrates the agility of the aircraft, and it hints at, or maybe just blatantly shows off, that this aircraft is capable of a lot of very important things. It has a lot of good traits. So I'm definitely not trying to knock the jets that can do it, and I'm not trying to knock the maneuver at all. It's an impressive maneuver. It's just not something that you would do 999 times out of 1,000 if you were in a dogfight. You would want to completely avoid this maneuver so that you don't make yourself a giant, slow, hot target in the middle of the sky, just sitting there waiting for somebody to shoot you. And not only that, but assuming that somebody didn't shoot you immediately, the guy behind you didn't shoot you immediately, he still has all the options. He or she still has way more options and way more energy than you do. So it would just be terrible, terrible idea. Alright, moving on. Stealth is the IDDQD. Now, if you don't get that reference, I'll make it easier for you. That's God mode. Stealth does not equal God mode, or IDDQD. Look it up if you don't know. Stealth really only works on limited radar detection bands or frequencies or whatever. And I'm not a physicist, and I'm not an expert on this stuff. It's just research that I've done. But there are other detection methods. So other radar bands can be used to detect aircraft that Stealth doesn't really take care of. Stealth takes care of some of the various types of radar, one more than all others, but the planform design and the radar absorbent material and stuff like that, it definitely helps. Obviously, it helps a lot. But there's also acoustic, there's IR, there's communications, detection, and stuff like that. So stealth is really a computation and technology problem. It's not a god mode. It doesn't make you invulnerable, and I think that that's been proven time and time again. Another issue is that, you know, the radar on board the stealth aircraft may not be capable of keeping it secret. So if you're arguing that we're going to use a high degree of stealth with some other detection methods, some passive detection, then, you know, I'm intrigued. But if you're going to flip on a big powerful radar, now I don't know how good low probability intercept radars are, but if you're going to flip on this big powerful radar, assuming that it allows the enemy to see you on a radar detection system, then you're announcing your bearing and your intentions to that person. So anyway, stealth is not God mode. It's pretty cool. I like the idea of stealth, but I'm not here to talk about the cost-benefit analysis of it. I'm just saying it's not God mode. Alright, number 4. Medium and long-range radar-guided missiles are insta-kills. They're not. The P sub K is relatively low. Now, we have made lots of improvements on missiles over the years, and so I would assume the P sub K is higher than it once was, you know, back in the day of the AIM-7 Sparrow and similar missiles around the globe. But we don't have a lot of data points, so anytime I hear people talking about how much better missiles are than they used to be, I'm a little skeptical. Most of the kills, at least by AMRAAMs or AIM-120s, have been against fairly compliant targets, or even in some cases targets that had no idea that a radar was even detecting them because they didn't have RWR or they didn't have it turned on. So I think the jury's still out on how good these things are. But more importantly, at least in my mind, rules of engagement often mean that you can't fire on someone until you've properly identified them, and that might bring them well within the range of, say, short-range IR missiles as well. So you can still kill them with a radar missile, but you're greatly increasing your chances of killing them with the radar missile as well. But it kind of takes away from the claim to fame or the strength of the long-range radar-guided missile. Kind of makes it so that it's not really necessary. So anyway, that one's a little bit iffy because I certainly like long-range radar technology, but it's not going to be an insta-kill. It's not even close to an insta-kill. Okay, number 5, top speed matters. This one's a little iffy too because top speed does matter, just not as much as some people like to pretend it does. So having the capability to get somewhere quick or to extend has a lot of merit, but it's also very costly in terms of the price of the aircraft, the size of the aircraft, and the fuel. Not necessarily the size, but big engines, you know. They burn a lot of fuel. So for a fighter, a lot of traits have to be considered, and speed is only one of them. I think that more importantly, the range of an aircraft matters quite a bit. It depends on what it's built for, but the range matters. The sustainable G, the sustainable turn radius, the corner speed, useful load, things like that matter a lot. So it's not just high speed. And there are several situations, and I'll talk about these in another video, hopefully, if I can figure out how to put it all together. But there are several conversations I've gotten into where, specifically about the MiG-31 and the Avro Arrow, where people, for some reason, think that because those things can fly really fast and really high, that they can kill everything in the sky. So that's my 5 favorite myths, and I'd like to go into more detail on it, but I'm trying to keep the video not unnecessarily long. But I want to throw out one bonus one, and everyone's probably really familiar with this, but the last myth that I want to talk about is just the one that goes something along the lines of we'll hit the brakes and they'll fly right by, and sort of the Tomcat air brake Cobra maneuver thing. That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. That's not the way air brakes work. That's not the way dogfighting works. So, post comments down there. We can have a discussion about these myths. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, or throw out your favorite myths if you'd like. It's always fun to talk about, and if I've gotten anything wrong, enlighten me. I definitely want to know if I've gotten something wrong. So, as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Happy flying.